Hey guys, it's Taiga Phoenix, leader of the Common Striders here, bringing you another deck profile for Dragon Empire Nirvana Overdressed deck. Guys, I know it's been, 7 months since I made a video? Yeah, it's been a while. But Vanguard still continued, I've still been playing. And I'm here to show you guys my post DBT-04 Chakrabarthi Divine Dragon Nirvana deck profile. Yeah, I know the channel's been dead for a while, restrictions and people forgetting a lot of stuff, like mostly me. I haven't done any videos for the channel, but yeah, we're here and we can bring you guys, hopefully we can bring you guys more content. I'm going to try to get with the other guys. We can probably do some fight videos with Overdress. We haven't done any Overdress fight videos. There's a lot of explaining, but here goes the deck profile. We're going to get into it. So, moving this right off the side here. First we have our ride line, which I haven't changed since my first deck profile, so it's still Trickstar, Reno, Ryu, and Nirvana. I still run these four. Some people have switched out Trickstar for Back to Sunrise Egg because they want that draw. I still don't see the point in it. I mean, I see the point. An extra card is good, but I still prefer having a guaranteed Trickstar. I remember when I was playing against my friend, you guys know Chakai from back on our V-Series fights. He was playing Barrel Magnus, and I damage checked the Trickstar, and he started sucking them into the soul, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do without Trickstars? And another fight we had, I think he was playing Orphis, he like damage checked 2 Trickstars, and I'm like, well, now I only have the one I searched for Ryu, and I have nothing else. I'd rather have a guaranteed one than an extra draw that could possibly go off. Like, going second, you might get the draw, but you will get the draw if you go second, but if you go first, it doesn't really matter. So, yeah. So, still Trickstar. Still run Reno to search the Trickstar when ruled upon by Ryu. Still run Ryu when ruled upon by Nirvana to search for Virina, guarantee search. And still run the Nirvana because this is the main card in the deck. Now, moving on to the main deck. As you know, this is a post set 4 deck profile. And in set 4, we were given beautiful, beautiful grade 4 units. This is Chakrabarthi True Dragon, Mahar Nirvana. Its skill is continuous during your turn. If you have a unit in the overdress state, all of your front row gets +10. So it's like the original Nirvana, Counterblast 1 to give your overdress units and itself +10. But now it's just as long as you got one, you get your front row. So your front row unit can be a unit that's not an overdress unit and still gets the +10, so that's still good. Its other effect is act. Once a turn, you can Counterblast 1. Put a card with Nirvana from your soul into your drop zone, from your hand or your soul into the drop zone, so you can either soul blast it or discard it, a Nirvana card, to call a grade 0 from your drop zone. And if your opponent is at 4 or less damage, you deal them a damage. So you can burn them for 1 and you get your Trickstar back. The regular Nirvana can discard any card. This one has to discard specifically a Nirvana or Soul Blast Nirvana. So you kind of need Nirvana more so in this deck than before. But, I have 3 copies of the grade 4 here chilling. Then I also still run 1 more copy of Persona Rod Nirvana in my main deck, just for the chance of, needing a Nirvana later, if I need the Persona Rod. Yeah, I could run a 4th copy of Mahar Nirvana, but I still like having the 1 regular one, just because I have a card in this deck that specifically needs the grade 3 Nirvana, and I want to have that maybe sometime. So also, it's still just like, if I see it and I'm on Mahar, it's still a discarder for its effect, so that's fine. Moving right along, we have 1, 2, 3 copies. I run 3, most people run 2, but I run 3. 3 copies of Virina Esperaridea. It can only overdress over Trickstar. It is our grade 4 Virina. Overdress over Trickstar only. When its unit is placed in rearguard circle, if it's in the overdress state, you put all Trickstars and cards with the overdress ability from your drop zone under this unit, as its original dress is. Then, when your Vanguard attacks, you can Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit, and it gets plus 5,000 power for each original dress it has. So now, you have a bigger beater. Before, our restander was Valiente. Now we have a bigger one that's later in the turn. That's why you only can play it if you're on grade 4 Nirvana. So that's why you want to be there. So when it swings, it's going to be a nice, easy 23, and then you Soul Blast, restand it, and it can get big. One game I played against a friend of mine, I had 1 on the field, and I had it swing for like 53 by itself, And then I played another one, and that one was swinging 43 by itself, the other one was swinging 53 by itself. It's like really crazy, just because you can just fill it up so much. With Nirvana's plus 10, and then you add a blender plus 30 onto it. It's just, oh, it's so good. Just having 6 cards under it. It's such a good card, and you can, like, people, before you would worry about people killing your overdress units, now it's like they die, and you're like, well, at least I have him. He can recuperate them from my drop zone as a resource. So, letting them die is just not a bad thing anymore. Moving right along here, we run 2 copies of a card we got from the last set, before set 4. Virina Expecta. Expecta is another grade 3, just like Valiente, and its ability is it can only overdress over a unit in the overdress state. All the other Virinas in the game overdress over Trickstar, and then Valiente can overdress over Trickstar or a unit in the overdress state. Expecta here can only do a unit in the overdress state, so remember that. I have people I know that always try to play it when it has, you know, just Trickstar. They're like, oh, I want to play this card. I'm like, well, you gotta, you know, hope that you have, you gotta hope you have a unit in the overdress state, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to do it. But anyway, this unit gets the original power of all the units in the original dress. So normally, because you have grade 2 units, all of the grade 2s, in this game have all the grade 2 Virinas have 10k. So it's 13 when you overdress over a unit in the overdress state. If it is Trickstar, if it has Trickstar under it, because it only has to be an overdress state, you will get plus 15 more than likely, because it overdresses over Arcs, over the new one we got Urger, or overdresses over regular Virina. It'll get plus 15 because it's 10k from Virinas, and then the 10-5 from Trickstar. So it'll be a 28k attacker on both players' turns. You can also overdress it over Valiente or Esperaridea, because overdressing does not care about grade. So if you overdress it over Esperaridea and a Trickstar, or Valiente and a Trickstar, it gets plus 18 instead. But the big thing about it is you can overdress it over a unit in the overdress state. So you could have Esperaridea one turn and just be like, alright, cool, Esperaridea now has all these original dresses because it was sealed and they didn't kill it, and you draw an Expecta. You can overdress Expecta over top of Esperaridea, and it gets all of those original powers. So it could be a huge beater now. Its other skill is when it attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, if this unit is in the overdress state, you can counterblast 1, and this unit gets plus 15k and a crit until the end of the turn, to the end of that battle, and at the end of that battle loses all of its original dresses. So you basically it gets all that power. It could get, like, most likely it'll be 28, maybe 33, but more than likely it'll be 28 to 33, and then if you have that whole Esperaridea play, it could be even bigger. But when you swing with it, you can counterblast 1 and then give it another 15k on top of that, and a crit, so it's even harder to guard. The only downside to that before was that you get rid of all your original dresses, but now that we have our big boy Esperaridea here, you can use this skill, get rid of all your original dresses. He loses all that, you're like, oh, well, he's useless now. But then your opponent might swing at it, or it might stay on the field. You can just use the new Nirvana skill, call Trickstar over top of it, or call Trickstar over top of it. It goes to drop zone, and you overdress Esperaridea into Trickstar, and now that he's in drop, and all those cards you use for him are in drop zone, they all come back under Esperaridea. So now his skill to get rid of his original dresses can now be refunded by Esperaridea here for the next turn. So on grade 3 turn, you can play him and have him swing for 28, maybe 28 by himself, and then use his skill to give him another 15, making him like 43 with a crit, and then your opponent might guard it or might take it and they don't die, and the next turn you can play Esperaridea and bring all that back and make the next attack even bigger. So he's a pretty good card. I love him. He's pretty cool. I still run 1 copy of Virina Valiente. I recently just switched out from running an extra copy of Nirvana, because this is good just because I have more consistency with, you know, discarding a Nirvana for my hard Nirvana skills. So it's just to have more consistency. That's why I ran it. But I wanted to run all the Virina units because I love this archetype. I love this deck. I love this subclan. I don't know what you want to call it, but I love this deck, and I wanted to represent every overdress unit in it. So I run every single overdress unit that's out right now. Esperaridea, Expecta, Valiente here, Arcs, regular Virina, and Virina Urger. I run all of them because I wanted to represent every single unit that this deck has become, that has risen up from set 1 to now set 4. And I run 1 copy of him. He's still okay. He can still be overdressed over any unit in the overdress state, or a Trickstar. And just like our friend Expecta here, Expecta gets the original power of all those units, whereas Valiente only gets +5 for each of those units under him. But you can still do the Esperaridea has a bunch under him, and then you play Valiente. Valiente will get +5 for each of those cards. So let's say the turn when you use Esperaridea, you put 6 cards under him. Because he already had Trickstar, that's 7 cards. If you overdress Valiente over him, that's 8 cards under Valiente, and Valiente is basically +40,000 that way. And it's just like, okay, he's +40,000. He is 53. And because I had to use Esperaridea before, I'm more than likely had to use, because that means I guarantee had to be on my hard Nirvana. And now that I have another unit in the overdress state, that's another +10 to the front row. So now he's not 53, he's 63,000. Swing with him, and if his attack hits, you can counterblast 1 and restand him. That is just so good, and it's more arm hit pressure, because more than likely, if it's Expecta and I don't use Expecta skill or his Esperaridea, they might just go, oh, he's too big, I gotta guard him anyway. Or they're way too big, I'm just gonna eat their hit. You can't eat this hit. If I eat it and I have counterblast open, I'm gonna use it to guarantee another restand and swing at you with another number like that. And before, I was worried about the hand discard, but you draw so much and get so much in this deck that you really don't need to. With your Vanguard doing triple drive now, because Mahar Nirvana as a grade 4 has triple drive, with Arch still being able to draw 2, you will have a pretty big hand. So discarding 1 isn't that big of a problem. And now that we have Esperaridea, you can discard like an overdress unit, and then that'll fill your fire for the next turn. So Valiente is still pretty good, and he's even better now that Esperaridea is a new unit. Moving right along, you've seen that I run 3 copies of Esperaridea to Valiente, the other 2 Urger and normal Virina. I run at 2, but the one that has staying a constant in the deck that will never drop from being a 4 spot probably, unless we get another card that does even better than him. Virina Arcs, well, that draw 2 from his skill is when he's placed in overdress state, you counterblast 1, draw 2, and he gets +5 until the end of the turn. That is still so good. He has such a good build up on Expecta or Esperaridea. Not Esperaridea, but Expecta and Valiente. He's such a good build-up towards them, because the other ones, you're still like, I might still want the 10k from regular Virina, or I might still want the 10k in shield from Urger. Nah, Arcs is still just going to be like that one. I'm going to play on this one turn, draw 2 cards, have a nice 15k attacker. I might overdress him because I want to get something out faster, but for right now, he's a nice 15k attacker. With an AK boost, he's 23. With Nirvana skill, he's 33. That's still a pretty good number, and he draws me 2 cards, and that double draw is so good. So we still run 4 copies of Arcs, just because that extra draw early is so good. Moving right along here, we have, like I said, 2 copies of, let me see if it focuses, bam, Virina Urger. He came out in set 2, so Expecta was our set 3, and now Urger was our set 2. So his skills are, he can only overdress over Trickstar, and his other skill is in the hand. At the end of the battle, your Trickstar attacked a Vanguard. If your Vanguard is Chakrabarthi, Divine Dragon, Nirvana, the grade 3, you can Soul Blast 2, overdress this card over that card, countercharge 1, and then you overdress it in a stand state. So it's an extra attack, which the deck didn't have before. Before Esperaridea, our only extra attack was if Valiente hit, and that's not a guaranteed one. This one is more guaranteed. It costs 2 soul, so the deck doesn't soul charge a lot, so you're really only going to get this off maybe once a game, but that's fine, because now that we have this whole grade 4 play, I only really do this when I'm on grade 3, and he's an overdress that he gets +10,000 power and +10,000 shield, so he's a nice 15k interceptor, and he can be a 20k attacker, 30k attacker with Virina's skill, Nirvana's skill, so 30k is not bad, and it's the end of the battle of Trickstar attack. So before he was like, we would Persona Ride and do all this other stuff with him. I can still do that because I run the 1 copy of Nirvana, but the grade 1s I run, you can still swing with them boosting Trickstar for 13. That still touches the Vanguard, because that'll be your first swing for the turn, so your opponent has to guard it. They have to either eat it or intercept or guard with something, and at the end of that attack, you can Soul Blast 2 and overdress him from Trickstar, and then she'll have a nice 20k attacker, and then swing with Nirvana to plus the 10 to the front row and go like, alright, cool, this is 30k now. And it's like, okay, on their first, most people, like, I saw some people like don't want to run him because you can't use him with grade 4 Nirvana because you have to have specifically Chakrabarthi Divine Dragon Nirvana. I still run him with Nirvana because he's a nice shield when he's in overdress state. If I'm going to go into my hard Nirvana and I need more fuel to fuel, more fire to fuel Esperaridea, I can intercept with him for 15k shield. Him and Trickstar go to the drop zone. I'll bring them back the next turn and then swing again. He's also a nice counter charge, so early when you use Arch, you can counterblast for Arch, draw 2, then you can swing with Trickstar, overdress this, and then countercharge that counterblast did damage back. So Urger's still good if I don't need him because it's later in the game, or I don't need him, I can just ditch him and he'll become fuel for Esperaridea, so that's fine. So running 2 copies I still like. Lastly, for the overdress units, I run 2 copies of regular Virina from the start deck. Well, this one's not from the start deck, this is from the festival collection we had because it's full, and I love that. But yeah, Virina is still in the deck. I still run 2 because Ryu can only search Virina, it cannot search any of the other special Virinas, it just searches this one, so I still run the 2. He's still a good card, he's still a Soul Blast 2 to pop something, so if I don't want to use Urger, I can still use him to pop something on the board, and he still gets +10, so he's still a nice attacker, and you get a guaranteed search for him, so just having a card I can guarantee search out from the deck. I run the 2 because in case one of them goes to damage, I can still search the 1, or I draw 1 early, I can still search the 1, so that's still good to run at 2. Moving right along, we still have that, because we have the 1 Trickstar on our ride line, we still have the main deck Trickstars. I only have 3 foil and 1 is in my ride line. This is one is not foil, it's from the start deck. But I have 3 Trickstars, 1 in the ride line, so that's 4. Trickstar, our main card, everybody needs him, all the overdress units need him, so he's our staple, he has to stay in the deck at 4. One thing I will do sometimes, is I have Trick Moon, which came out in this set 4, and its skill is when placed behind the Vanguard, it gets you can countercharge 1. When placed from the drop zone behind the Vanguard, you can countercharge 1, and its other skill only works with the Bob Sagra deck, so that's fine. But I will run it in my ride line sometimes, just so that I can have that countercharge, because Nirvana can bring back any grade 0, and Trick Moon is a 5k grade 0, just like Trickstar. So I can bring that back, put it behind my Vanguard countercharge. So one play I did do is early, I would like Arcs. I would use Arcs, counterblast 1, draw 2, then use Nirvana skill, discard a card, bring back Trick Moon, countercharge, and then play another Trickstar from my hand, and play another Arcs from my hand, and then draw 2 more. So it's like, that countercharge is cool, but it's not really, it's okay. Sorry about that, video kind of cut out for a second. But, yeah, I still run, just Trickstars, so that's there, 3 Trickstars, still moving right along. Next up, I run 3 copies of Blaze Pull Monk Retsuji. This unit is, when it's placed on rearguard circle, you counterblast 1, choose up to 1 card with the overdress ability from your drop zone, put it into your hand, and if your Vanguard is grade 4, you countercharge. So you can just place him down, counterblast 1, get back any of your overdress units, and then if you're on grade 4 of Nirvana, you can countercharge. So it's literally like, you can just place him. If you like literally have nothing in your hand but Retsuji, you can call, if you have 1 counterblast open, you call Retsuji, counterblast 1, add him back to your hand, you add Esperaridea back to your hand, and then you countercharge, and then you counterblast again for Nirvana. You soul blast for discard. You soul blast Nirvana from your soul if you have 1 in hand, because it might not be your only card in hand. You might soul blast. You might discard 1. You discard Nirvana. You bring back Trickstar, and then you overdress from Esperaridea and get all them back. So it's like, if you have nothing but just him and a Nirvana in your soul and a countercharge and a counterblast, you can literally get back to a pretty good play just from that. So Retsuji, 3 of, he's literally like on plays get any of your guys back, and that's pretty good. And it doesn't cost, if you have a grade 4 of Nirvana, it doesn't cost anything. Run 2 copies of Blaze Maiden Ximena. Her skill is when placed on rearguard circle, counterblast 1. Look at the 7 cards from the top of your deck for 1 unit with the overdress ability, add it to your hand, reveal it to your opponent, shuffle your deck. So, well, yes, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle it to your opponent. Shuffle your deck. And it's like, okay, it's literally, if you don't have an overdress unit or you need to search for one that you're really missing, you can counterblast 1 for Ximena. She used to be more in the deck, but because the deck doesn't really, I pretty much draw in everything I need. I really don't run more copies of her, but 2 is fine, and I don't always use that skill. I just need her as a booster sometime for Trickstar, maybe going in an Urger play. So that's pretty good. So yeah, 2 copies of Ximena. Lastly in the deck we run, before triggers, lastly is 4 copies of Twin Buckler Dragon, our perfect guard. There's no reason to get rid of that. Twin Buckler has been here since set 1. All the perfect guards are not changing in anybody's deck. So 4 copies of Twin Buckler. Try to stop attacks. You need those. Over to the triggers. We got 1 over trigger, 1 Drag Veda. You only can run 1 over trigger in a deck. So Drag Veda is the Dragon Empire one. And it's really good when you go Alright, swing with Esperaridea, swing with Vanguard, Soul Blast 1 restand Esperaridea, drive check, over trigger, restand the Vanguard, and have 6 drives that turn is really, really good. And you can give the 100 million to another unit because Esperaridea is going to be really big by himself. Or give it to the Vanguard, you know. So, moving on along, I have 1 copy of Conduct Spark and 2 Burning Flails. I need more Burning Flails, but that's fine. Burning Flails has the skill of if you boost with it, you can put it into the soul and give something +2. That has come up because you need soul for Esperaridea, and just being able to be like, okay, I only have 1 soul, and I need that soul is Nirvana, so if I want to use Nirvana skill, I got it Soul Blasted. You can call this down behind Esperaridea or any other, behind Esperaridea, boost its attack, you swing with it. Boost Esperaridea's first attack, so it swings for 27. It goes to the soul, and then you have this, when you swing with Nirvana, you have the soul now, the soul blast out and restand Esperaridea. So that's pretty good. I need more copies of Burning Flail. I'll probably run it at 4, and this would be out my deck, because I still run, you still over here have 4 copies of Blaze Maiden Zone, now on my triple rare foiling, because I have the set. I would bump her down to 3. And then I would bump Burning Flail over here up to 4, and that would be my trigger lineup. But for right now, it's 3. It's 2 of that, 1 of Conduct Spark, and 4 Zone. I would run more Conduct Spark, but no, I want the Blaze Maiden kind of feel to the deck. I love the Blaze Maidens because they kind of run the engine. So, you know, 4 critical triggers. So 7 crits, running 7 crits, 1 over trigger, 4 copies of Blaze Maiden Parama. She's our front trigger. She goes to the, she can guard for 20k shield when your opponent's on grade 3 or greater. So it's this really good shield value. It's pretty good. I run 4 copies of it just for the shield. Front trigger, hitting a front is okay because it's like more power, but you really don't need the front. Some people run draws. The new draws are cool, but I like having a 20k shield more than that, and I want to crit you more than I want to draw a card because I draw enough cards. But it's each his own. And lastly, we got 4 copies of Blaze Maiden Rona here. She is our heal trigger, and 4 heals. You need heals to live throughout the game. Sometimes I kill you, hit a heal or over trigger to guard. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is my Nirvana deck profile. I love this deck. I played it against other Nirvana decks and destroyed them just because of the consistency. Like I said, you can either run Trickstar in your ride line or Trick Moon if you want to. You can run more copies of Nirvana if you want to. We have options you can do. You might even want to. My friend runs a lot of. One of my friends runs a lot of like the other Blaze cards just to have more support. Like the one that can give. There's one that gets that becomes a 15k shield if you reveal a grade 4 in your hand. But I'm like, that's cool. It's a 5k without it. But I'm like, I would rather just have, you know, just more power on the board. I mean, like actually, you have to have one of these in hand. And if you already ride one, you don't have any more. It's literally just a 5k. It's not doing anything. But before that, it's pretty good. So yeah, that's my deck profile. Hope you guys liked it. Fights hopefully to come. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Taiga, the Common Striders, and always, Striders out.